Ever since it came to light that Joe Biden, then the former vice president of the United States, retained classified documents in a think tank office and in his garage in Wilmington, Delaware, it's been very hard to distinguish fact from fiction on this issue. Republicans have insisted that Biden and the Justice Department are guilty of a double standard, that former President Donald Trump's home in Florida was raided to recover classified documents, while no such alleged persecution has been visited on the current occupant of the White House. Democrats, on the other hand, have tried to play down the whole thing, insisting that comparing what Biden did in regards to classified documents to what Trump did is a gross mischaracterization and a huge oversimplification. In short, you could be forgiven for wondering what exactly is true, which is where I come in. Here are 5, count them 5. I just did that. 5 indisputable facts about the Biden classified documents imbroglio. Fact number 1. Biden waited months before going public with the classified documents news. Classified docs were discovered in Biden's think tank office, which was a post-vice presidential gig, on November 2nd, 2022. By November 4th, the National Archives and Records Administration, NARA, had alerted the Justice Department to the fact that classified documents had been turned over by Biden's lawyers. 5 days of that, the Department of Justice had opened an investigation into whether any laws were in fact broken. In December, more classified documents were found, this time at Biden's home in Wilmington. But it wasn't until January 9th that the public learned of all of this, when CBS first broke the news.
3 sources tell CBS News the classified documents were discovered in this building about a mile from the White House at the offices of the Penn Biden Center.
Fact number 2. The White House has not been forthcoming on this issue. Since we learned of the existence of the classified documents, which was in January, Biden and his White House have provided very little in the way of new information or context. That relative silence comes even as Richard Stauber, a White House lawyer, reported that he had found even more classified documents in a subsequent search of Biden's Wilmington home, and the Department of Justice found 6 more classified documents in a 13-hour search of that home. Asked about the Stauber discovery, White House Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre said this:
I'm going to let this ongoing review that is happening, this legal process that is happening, and let that process continue under the special counsel. I'm not going to comment from here.
Which, well, okay. Fact number 3. What Biden did and what Donald Trump did are not the same. Here's a good way to think about the difference between what Biden did in regards to classified documents and what Donald Trump did via Garrett Graff. Biden found items he didn't know were in his shopping bag when he left the store and returned them, while Trump systematically looted the store, ran out of the door, and failed to stop for police in a high-speed pursuit. Pretty different. Remember that Biden, or more accurately Biden's lawyers, self-reported that they had found classified documents. The Trump team repeatedly refused requests to turn over the documents to NARA prior to the FBI raid at Mar-a-Lago last year. Fact number 4. Fact number 3 probably won't matter to lots of people. Here's why. A, both Biden and Trump wound up in possession of classified documents they weren't supposed to have after leaving their respective offices, and B, neither man was forthcoming about why they had the documents. C, the Department of Justice has appointed special counsels to look into each matter and decide whether any laws were broken. For the average news consumer, those similarities will be plenty for them to conclude that Trump and Biden were caught doing something they shouldn't have been doing around classified documents. Fact number 5. This is bad news for Joe Biden, politically speaking. Prior to the classified document story breaking earlier in January, Biden was clearly on a political upswing. His poll numbers had approached or matched their previous highs, and he was in the midst of a clear pivot to the ideological middle ahead of a likely 2024 race. Witness his infrastructure event with Republican Senate leader Mitch McConnell earlier this month in Kentucky. It was a bridge. Now Biden is under investigation by a special counsel, and no president wants to spend even a single day, particularly as Biden looks to be gearing up to run for president again, under the watchful eye of a special counsel. Then there's this. The focus of the first few weeks of the new year in Washington was all on Republicans and their inability to line up behind a speaker candidate. The GOP looked lost and leaderless. It was a great image for Biden in particular and Democrats more broadly. That focus on Republicans, though, is now gone. Reporters are all over the classified document story, and per point number 2, the White House doesn't have any good answers, at least not yet. So what? It's hard to say whether the docs problems have slowed or entirely stopped Biden's momentum, since we're still in the very early stages of all this. But what's beyond debate is that it is not a problem Biden and his team want to be dealing with right now.